this computer. All right, and we should be live and ready to present this webinar. Hello to our today's webinar, International SEO, Learn How to Boost Global Sales. My name is Chris Rolfe. I'm the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing, originally from Switzerland, moved to Boulder, Colorado in '96. Have been in digital marketing for, gosh, I guess about 25 years now. I speak globally about international SEO. Anything more international SEO related stuff you can find on my personal website, chrisrolfe.com. Teamed up with Daniel Burns, as I don't have web design skills. Very important to do both SEO and web design. Daniel, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and talk about your expertise here in a second. But if I don't do SEO, I like to hike, bike, climb, surf, all that good stuff. With that being said, Daniel, over to you.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Brazil. After graduating high school, went to the University of Miami and then started a website design agency. And that's what I've done pretty much my whole life. And, you know, I've done some adventures and so forth. But one of the reasons that it really makes sense that I think Chris, with all of his SEO expertise and myself with all of the website kind of background and expertise is because nowadays, more than ever, you know, website plays a huge factor on how well a site is going to rank. And also when you're doing SEO, there's a lot of things that are really hand in hand with the website and vice versa. So I think that, you know, SEO and website design are not two independent things anymore. They're really part of the same foundation. So bringing together, you know, both of those into kind of one concise strategy and approach to everything you do is really the way that, you know, SEO should be handled nowadays. So yeah, that's a little bit on me and you know, what my background is about.
Cool. Thank you, Dan. And by the way, guys, I just came down with COVID. I'm a little bit foggy in my head, so I'm a little bit slower than usual. So please forgive me if I say something ridiculous. Daniel, please catch that and correct it if necessary.
Okay.
With that being said, we only have 60 minutes. We're going to cover a lot of information. So just be warned that this will be fast and furious. You're not going to learn everything there is to know, right? The goal of this webinar is to give you an overview what's possible, why you should be doing international SEO. We'll talk about some of the most important strategies, tasks that you need to do. But again, this will be a very fast-paced webinar. We'll be hosting additional educational events in the near future, and we'll keep you in the in the loop. But again, this will be fast and furious. You will learn a lot of great information. I hope so. And with that being said, let's not waste any more time here. So I used to work in the localization, translation industry before I started my own business, Boulder SEO Marketing, about 12 years ago. The main issues that I saw when I worked in localization translation, and also now when I personally consult with larger companies on international SEO, that there are so many silos within, in particular, larger companies. We have the marketing team, the sales team, product development, the writers, technical team, web developers, localization, right? They seem to have a really hard time to work together to make international SEO happen. If you work for a larger corporation, I guarantee you can probably relate with what I just said, right? So that bigger companies, they usually have a bigger issue when it comes to international SEO. So that being said, why in the world would we do search engine optimization or international SEO? Well, it's very simple. It's very easy. So basically, we want to help Google and other search engines understand what our business is, what we do, why we deserve their organic search traffic, the non-paid search traffic, And with ultimately the goal being that we're able to drive high quality, meaning people that want to buy your stuff to your website, right? That's the ultimate goal of many of our customers when they come to us. That's what we hear. Hey, we want to get the right people to our website so that they can engage with us and ultimately become customers. All right, Daniel, what's the best place to hide a dead body? I think you're muted.
Sorry, I had it on mute. Yes, so it's the second page of Google.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to get people to your website, this is not going to cut it, right? Your website cannot show up on page number 2, 3, 4, etc. Even being on page number 1 will not cut it. You need to be in the top, I would say, 4 organic search results, because Google will load the first page with ads, etc., push the organic search results down in the SERPs, the search engine results pages. So that being said, about 2 out of 10 people will usually click on a paid ad. They're usually well marked, but this is how Google makes their billions of dollars in profit each month. And then out of the remaining 8 people or so, about 62% will actually click on one of the top 4 organic search results. So again, being on page 1 is great, but you really got to be in one of the top 3 to 4 organic search results. All right. That being said, let's dive into the international part here a little bit. And when I say international, you don't necessarily need to think multilingual. And we have a great example in just a few slides here of how you don't have to potentially start with localizing, translating your website. So I did a simple Google search, how many countries in the world have English as their official language. Daniel, did you know that? I just threw in this slide.
No, that's actually a new fact for me.
All right. So even just the English-speaking global market is massive, right? If we look at the statistic here that I pulled from Wikipedia, it's a bit outdated. We're looking at the English-speaking market, people on the internet. We're looking at 1.2 billion people, right? If you're selling something that's geo-independent, I mean, you have a massive market. The same thing with Spanish, Portuguese. Daniel, you're from Brazil. Tell us real quick about the difference in locale between Brazilian Portuguese and European Portuguese.
Oh, very different. We like to say that we got the original Portuguese from Portugal and we perfected it in Brazil. But with that being said, jokes aside, there's a lot of differences, right? You can't create a website for the Brazilian market, simply replicate it and hope that the Portuguese and Portugal market will understand and get it. There's a lot of different words. There's a lot of different meanings. So same language, but 2 different countries. You have to do a lot of adaptations.
Exactly. So later on in this presentation, we'll talk about locales. So don't just think, if you're targeting a language, you can just use the same spelling and everything. Different locales, you need to adapt to the different locales, which is very important. But we'll talk about this a little bit later on in this presentation. All right. Then briefly, I want to talk about global search engines. Google is dominating this game. I think they have a 95% global market share, but there are dominant search engines in Russia, Yandex, in China, Baidu, in South Korea, Naver, etc. So if you're targeting certain countries, you definitely want to make sure that you do your research. Make sure you know that what the dominating search engine is in that specific market, and you probably have to deal with that search engine as well. What we're sharing here today, Google best practices, they also apply to many of these other search engines that are dominant in other markets. All right. So let's talk about an international SEO case study where we only targeted English. And the nice side effect was that we're also getting a lot of traffic and visibility in other speaking countries. All right. So we helped a company, they're called Cruise Supply, optimize their website. And as part of the search engine optimization project, we developed a micro SEO campaign. We'll talk about this in more detail in just a few slides here, right? So they wanted to dominate page number 1 or get to the top in page number 1 for search terms related to pouring spouts, right? As you can see there, we finally made it happen. They rank now organically number 1 for the term pouring spouts. And usually we compete against Amazon, so it goes up and down one position sometimes. But yesterday when I took a screenshot, they were number 1 finally for this search term. All right. If you use a website called isearchfrom.com, also make sure to open an incognito browser window. If you check, let's say, the UK or another English-speaking country for the search term pouring spout, this page, and we'll talk about this page, this blog post that we created, or this guide in a little bit. In the UK, in this case in Newcastle, it's now at position 2, right behind Amazon organically. So this page is driving a lot of global traffic from other English-speaking countries to the website. So Daniel, micro SEO campaigns, the new name of the SEO, international SEO game. Give us a brief introduction to, why in the world would we do micro SEO campaigns?
Yeah, so before, what we used to do, and what a lot of other SEO agencies do, is more of what I call the kind of the shotgun approach, right? It's optimizing the entire website. It's creating blog posts. It's focusing on a wide range of keywords and hoping that everything moves up. What a micro strategy is we first look for a low-hanging fruit opportunity. What is that? A low-hanging fruit opportunity is either a page or a keyword that's very important for you, that has really high search metrics. That would be an awesome page to be ranked on the top of Google, but you're in the second page of Google. You're maybe on the bottom of page 1. So when we find those opportunities, what a micro strategy is we focus all of our resources on optimizing that page for that specific keyword. There's a lot of activities that we do on page and off page. And then we essentially, instead of doing a shotgun approach, we're really laser focusing all of our efforts on that page and that specific keyword. And by doing that, you're able to see that keyword move up to the top of page 1 of Google a lot quicker than if you were taking more of a generalist approach to the website. So that really works well because, number 1, we're able to see quick results. Number 2, when that keyword moves up to the top of page 1 of Google, you see the traffic needle move immediately, right? Because we're getting a lot more qualified traffic. And the minute that you make that happen, then you implement another micro strategy on another opportunity. And really what we found very successful is to, when a website has low-hanging fruit opportunities, which is really an important first step, is really to leverage those one after the other. And the great overall advantage of that is that once you get a micro strategy to go up one, and then another micro strategy successful, the entire website becomes more optimized and it's taken more seriously by Google. So the whole website also increases, and other keywords and other pages improve in the search engines as well. So that's what micro strategies are, and that's why we love them so much.
Well said, well said. So there we go. You already explained what this slide is about. So the components of a micro strategy, they include the main page, as Daniel just explained. It can be a blog post, a guide, anything that's already in some form or shape is ranking for some interesting keywords. Then we also usually have a money maker page, let's say a product page where we want to send traffic to, where people ultimately convert. And then we have supporting pieces of content, press releases, blog posts, case studies, white papers, etc., etc. And of course, these micro campaigns, they can be implemented in any kind of language. You just follow the same methodology. And we'll obviously talk about more about international SEO, the ins and outs, keyword trends creation, etc. But this strategy works so shockingly well. And I actually want to show the results that we achieved with this micro campaign. By the way, here's the link to that page that we completely redesigned. It was a terrible blog post, and we basically completely redesigned that page with, you know, infographics, the best information out there. You know, anything you need to know about pour spouts is now on that guide. The results are right here on the right. You see a screenshot of a tool called SE ranking, where you can see, you know, what kind of keywords is this piece of content ranking for. As you can see there, it is ranking for about 460 keywords. Many of those obviously are related to pour spouts, pouring spouts, etc. Many high search volume keywords, where we're now at the top in Google in, you know, the top 3-4 organic search results. And check this out. Again, this is a screenshot from a tool called SE ranking. This piece of content is now driving a ton of traffic. It's ranking for a lot of keywords. And we've done this without having a massive page trust. It's only a page trust 4, which is extremely low, right? And we only have 7 backlinks. So Google is looking for the best possible content. So even if you don't have a ton of backlinks or extremely high page trust, you can make this happen with these micro campaigns by creating the best possible content available on the web. This piece is now the second most highest organic landing page on their entire website. I mean, this is really astonishing. If you're familiar with Google Analytics, you know what I'm talking about. This piece is getting so much traffic. It's converting so many people to buyers. And the nice side effect is that we're gaining traffic from other English-speaking countries. We recently spoke with them about actually, you know, starting to sell their products internationally. That's another beast, right? You need to set up distribution centers, make sure people can actually get the product, you know, at a reasonable price. I mean, that's another beast, right? Our goal, our job is to make sure that they get traffic from those countries, but they're starting to get a lot of traffic from other English-speaking countries. So we're in a great position, right, to pull the trigger and start to sell the products internationally when they are ready, when they're able to sell those products to those countries. And it took a little bit of time. I think we started to work with them back in May of 2021. But as you can see there, I mean, we, you know, took them from 0 to hero. So this is a nice success story that we like to share. All right, let's quickly talk about a penny saved. There's a penny earned with SEO and international SEO. You know, I used to do cold calling back in the day when I was a young professional. I hated it. I'm not going to lie. It sucked, right? You have to call people to sell them your stuff. SEO, as you can see here, it is probably the least expensive B2B lead generator. People come to you because they find you organically. The conversion rate extremely higher than all these other mostly outbound marketing strategies. Daniel, did you have any thoughts on this before you did SEO? How was your what was your lead generation strategy?
We started off doing a lot of meetings and we started off doing a lot of outreach. But if I can quickly say, one of the things that I always tell, all of the clients that we work with, and even internally here, is that, SEO by far is the best kind of lead, right? And I think maybe most people know that because it's qualified, it's inexpensive, because when people click on it, you're not paying for, that ad. So it's a really great source of leads to have. But with that being said, I always tell companies that they should have usually 3 to 4 sources of generating leads. May it be, paid ads a little bit, may it be some social activity. And the reason for that is because SEO, even though it's extremely powerful and extremely qualified, many times it's very volatile, right? If Google does an algorithm update, your rankings might go down from the top of page 1 to the bottom of page 1, and all of a sudden it takes a little bit of time. So it's always, it's a great source of leads to have, but there's always some ups and downs that happens, which is nature of dealing with SEO. So it's always great to have additional sources of lead generation. Again, I always say that because I know how important that is for, keeping the company moving forward.
Oh yeah, I would say, try to focus big time on SEO, but yes, don't neglect other lead generation strategies, obviously. Penny saved is a penny earned. If you do a search for international SEO expert, you should see my personal website at number 1 and 2 organically. It scores me a lot of speaking engagements, consulting gigs, etc. If you look at how much you would have to pay if you would want to show up in Google Ads for this keyword in the UK, we're looking at anywhere from like 13 to about $20 to show up in Google with a Google ad. I do not want to pay that kind of money to show up. I'd rather show up organically. Again, conversion rate is way higher, etc. So let's talk about the Google algorithm. It changes all the time, about 2-3 times a day, even more now, I think, small updates, but then massive updates throughout the year. One of the most important algorithm updates happened in 2015, RankBrain. It really took the algorithm, the Google algorithm, to the next level. They started to introduce AI, machine learning, etc. The next massive update was the EAT update: expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And Daniel, hey, I put in a slide about your money, your life. So I'll let you talk about that in a second.
Sure.
We'll talk about this update in a little bit and how important it is, in particular for medical, for example, medical websites. Then we had the BERT algorithm update. Google really took a leap in understanding context. And then a big deal is also the page speed, or like the mobile friendliness update. Daniel, do you quickly want to talk about this update, since it's mostly web design related?
Sure. And it's one of those that's very related. Well, it's 100% related to the website and how it works. And it's so important that Google actually added to the Google Search Console a Core Web Vitals section in there. And what that section in Search Console is doing is it's a place for Google to tell you, the website owner, hey, these are the things that your website are being penalized on right now that you need to fix. And regardless if the website looks good to you, if Google gives you a warning or an error in each of these 3 different sections, it is something that they're penalizing the rankings of the website because there is functionality issues, right? So how fast does the page load? How fast does an element that the person need to interact with load? Visual stability, if you've seen those sites that as the page load, things jump around, and you try to click on the button, all of a sudden it jumps in and you just click on something else. That's visual stability. So more than ever, Google is taking these items, which is, really how the website was built and how it loads and how fast people can interact with it. And Google really tells you exactly what you need to fix and what you need to address if you look at the Core Web Vitals inside your Search Console.
Great. And then very important, like, you know, before you go multilingual, before you're going to localize into German, French, Italian, Spanish, etc., make sure, optimize your source language from a technical standpoint, right? Otherwise, you're going to replicate these mistakes over into, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 languages. It's going to cost you a lot of money to fix those technical issues. All right, and then this was the game changer that basically inspired us to launch these micro SEO campaigns, the MOM update, algorithm update. Google truly took their algorithm to the next level with this. They're now able to pull data from all kinds of sources in all kinds of languages to answer complex questions, right? So this is how they make money, Google, right? They want to show you the best search result, so you will get rewarded for providing the best possible content that has, you know, infographics, you know, all this and that. So this is a game changer that we're taking advantage of by deploying these micro SEO campaigns for our clients. Daniel, I know this is a passion of yours, the your money, your life topic. Just briefly, without naming names of clients, tell us briefly about what is this all about?
Well, I mean, one of the reasons that this is very important for us is that when we're looking at websites that we're going to work with, you know, you put them in different categories. And if your website falls into your money and your life category, which is really a category that is a website that is going to influence how you make money, how you manage money, or your life, if it's health, if it's a doctor, if it's a supplement or medicine, all of those websites fall into this your money, your life category. And they are harder to work with. They are harder to get results for because Google takes these websites more importantly, and they make sure that they're going through additional vetting to get listed on the top of search engines, because they're really trying to protect people, right? Because this is stuff that really matters to them. So, you know, it requires that website have a much higher domain authority. It requires that the people that are involved with the business are true experts in the industry. It requires that your website is being linked to and from and talked about in major established publications. So a lot of things that we do to get organic rankings, you know, for other sites that are not your money, your life, work really well with other websites. But when your website falls into here, it requires a lot more work, and it's usually a much longer process to get ranking. So that's very important for you guys to look at your own websites and see if you fall into that category and understand that you have a slightly higher hill to hike up to make sure that you get to, you know, the top of the search results.
Yeah, and if you're in this category and you're hiring an SEO agency, please do not fire them after months 2, 3, or 4, or 5 if you don't see the results yet. It will take a long time for you to see rankings. So that is very important. All right, please do not try to game the SEO system. Google is very smart. They will catch you. So try to adhere to Google Webmaster guidelines. That's what we do. It will take, you know, a little bit longer to see results, but if you do this the right way, you will benefit from SEO for months, if not years to come. Let's talk about the importance of source language SEO. All right. Google's main algorithm consists of about 250 main ranking signals, potentially thousands of sub-ranking signals. You can place them into, you know, to 4 different pillars or categories. The technical SEO aspect, on-page SEO, anything we can do on the website. Off-page SEO, anything that we can do outside of your website. Social media, love it or hate it, it is very important, as Google pays close attention to everything that you do out there in the digital world. And then Daniel will talk about design and UX and usability of the website, basic conversion rate optimization. Those are the 5 main pillars. And then, of course, there is no SEO without content. So content marketing, storytelling, that is the foundation of SEO. All right. The better you score on all these ranking factors, the better, the higher your digital credit score. It's similar to the FICO credit score that we have here in the US. I'm Swiss. We're like very financially responsible. That's my credit score there. It costs me a lot less to borrow money than if I were in, you know, the 600s or the 500s, right? The same thing applies to SEO. The higher your digital credit score, the easier it will be for your website to rank for new keywords in the long term. So a lot of benefits to having a great digital credit score. And you know, don't freak out. Sometimes your website traffic will go down a bit, it will go up again, etc. Again, don't fire your agency if you see a drop for, you know, maybe 2-3 months. Usually the algorithm adjusts itself if you do everything by the books. All right, let's talk about the importance of SERP analysis before we dive into, you know, picking the keywords that we want to optimize for content in German or Spanish, etc. So you need to know what is Google displaying in relation to a keyword. In this case, again, our customer that we helped with to get ranked for pouring spouts, what you see there is basically page number 1. In Google for the search term pouring spouts. As you can see there on the left hand, we got the ads, the image ads, then text ads right there, the first organic listing. Then people also ask, Daniel, why is this important? People also ask, well, what could we do with that?
Well, what we can do is we can actually show up there as one of those people ask responses. And what Google's trying to do with that people ask is keep people on the search engines more than having them click and go to the sites. So Google's saying, hey, if this is your question, your answer is probably right here. And when you click on that, you know, people ask response, it's going to be your response from the website. We're going to put some snippet of information in there so Google can pick that up as an information, and then they can click on that response and go into your website. So again, because that is top of page listing on Google, you know, showing up as a response on the people ask is almost considered, you know, a top position as a search, organic search result.
Excellent. And then the second half of page number 1, again, we got images with, you know, popular products, etc. And then more text-based ads. Now I translated this keyword into German. As you can see there, Ausgießer, and we'll get to, you know, how we're going to transcribe the keywords into the, you know, new target languages. So you want to know, what is Google showing in relation to the equivalent in German? As you can see there, you know, we're seeing approximately the same results. So it's very important that you see similar results as you do for the source language keyword. Otherwise, you know, we may not be targeting the right keyword. All right, so let's talk about the SEO keyword universe, from source language keyword research to multilingual keyword transcreation. All right, again, I used to work in the localization translation industry. Truly, when it comes to global SEO, it is local SEO, right? We want to make sure that, you know, if we're targeting Germany, that the, you know, localized, translated, optimized page for the German market resonates with the people in Germany. They need to think or feel like this page was exactly created for them. So this is very extremely important. We do a lot of international SEO projects, so it is a bit tricky. You need to understand the culture, etc. So it's not something that you can just use Google Translate for. It is a bit of a process, as we're discussing in this webinar. All right, let's talk about keyword research. Let's quickly talk about short tail and long tail keywords. A short tail keyword would be 1 or 2 words strung together. Pouring spouts, right? Has higher search volume, probably a little bit lower intent than a long tail keyword such as best liquor pour spouts, right? Somebody typing this into Google, they know exactly what they're looking for. They're probably going to pull the trigger if they come across the right offering, something that resonates with them. Longer tail keywords, usually less competitive, higher relevance, definitely higher search intent. So don't just go for the shiny objects, you know, like just extremely short tail keywords. Sometimes it's better to tackle longer tail keywords with less search volume. All right, example here from the Chris Ralph website. So let's say if we want to find keywords related to international SEO services, or I want to know how many people are searching for this keyword and what other related keywords should I think about. Again, we're using SE ranking, one of our favorite tools here at Boulder SEO Marketing. You can use the keyword suggestion tool. Type that keyword in there. As you can see at the very top, international SEO services, about 140 people are searching for this keyword in the USA. And then this tool will also provide you with other relevant, potentially related keywords that you may want to make part of your SEO strategy. Then what I do recommend, create a simple Google Doc like this, where you plug in the keywords that you want to target, including the monthly search volume for the US in the chrisralph.com website. I'm also targeting the global English speaking market. So I'd like to know how many people are searching for these search terms on a global scale, because I don't mind traveling. I mean, you know, once this whole COVID thing is over and done with. But yeah, just you need to know how many people are actually searching for what you have to offer. All right, there. Okay. Now, Daniel, I'm going to hand it over to you. Now that we know what keywords we're trying to rank for, we're going to do something that's called keyword mapping. Do you want to quickly talk about the keyword mapping process?
Sure. Keyword mapping is essentially making sure that every page of the website is optimized for a specific keyword. So, you know, one of the kind of misconceptions that a lot of people had back in the days is that, you know, you really have to optimize the homepage for the most important keywords and everything else kind of it's secondary. Well, that's not true. What happens is Google really takes in consideration each individual page of the website, especially if they're really well optimized for a specific keyword, as a primary landing page, right? So for example, in what Chris is showing here under services, search engine optimization, if we really focus on optimizing that page for search engine optimization and someone's searching for that, that page will come up as a search result. So what keyword mapping allows us to do is to find out all of the very important pages of the website, do keyword research specifically for each one of those pages, almost if they were a standalone entity. But then obviously keeping in mind that all of the keywords work together, right? There's a main keyword on the homepage is going to be more of a bigger umbrella. And then every main category under it's going to be a related category of keywords under that, and then so forth. So that's essentially what the keyword research and mapping is understanding what keywords we want to go for and which pages we're going to optimize for each one of those keywords.
Exactly. And, you know, yes, there will potentially be some overlap. I would say, you know, don't use the same keywords for every page. I mean, you have to pick individual keywords for each and every page. Again, a simple Google Doc like this will do. We'll talk about the title and description tags in a second here, but you need to choose 3 keywords that closely describe, you know, what this page is going to be all about. All right. And then I do highly recommend, you know, use tools to track your data, your, you know, your positioning, etc. Again, tool like SE ranking will do. You'll simply pull the data into a Google Doc so you can share it with other stakeholders in the company, your boss. So you can show them, hey, boss, look, we're making improvements. You know, this is what I did this month or like this quarter. And the results are that, you know, we're making nice improvements in the SERPs. We're, you know, now position 2, 1, whatever. Again, something like this will actually do. We do, you know, very sophisticated reporting, but don't go crazy. Something simple will do. All right, so let's talk about the keyword trends creation process. So I went over to DeepL. It's my favorite translation tool, online translation tool. So I typed in pouring spouts, right? I wanted to see, let's say we're going to target the German market. You know, what is the best keyword for me to use in the German market if we were to deploy a micro SEO campaign in German for that guide that we created. As you can see there, DeepL is telling me Ausgießer is the best translation for the keyword pouring spouts, but they're also telling me, hey, here are some alternatives, right? So I do need to take those into consideration as well. So I'm heading over to Google Keyword Planner. That's another keyword research tool that we're using here at Bold SEO Marketing. It's part of Google AdWords. So you do need to run an active campaign, ads campaign, to get access to all the data. Otherwise, they're gonna make it really hard for you to get good data out of this tool. So I'm looking at the search volumes for German in Germany. Right there are the keywords that I provided, highlighted in red. Ausgießer, 1,600 people, and then Ausgussstutzen, 30, Gießkannen. That's actually not the right translation. That would be a terrible mistake to use this keyword. So you really need to go over to Google and actually do a search to make sure that, you know, we're seeing what we want to see. So Gießkannen, that's a totally different thing than pour spouts, right? The cool thing is that as with SE ranking, this tool is also giving us other recommendations. So we usually go through, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of keywords before we lock in the right keywords for our campaigns. And then if you're a large company that works with a localization translation company, make sure that you're creating a bilingual glossary that they can use then when they create their translation memory. So basically the English term pouring spouts, the best translation, in this case, maybe Gießtüllen is the best translation, but definitely the best transcreated keyword would be Ausgießer, as we seen when we looked at the SERPs there. So you need to create something like this to not you know, make mistakes when you start to localize, translate content. All right, quick recap. First, keyword research for the source language, then create a bilingual glossary with the best translated and transcreated keywords, keyword mapping for the source language website, then keyword mapping for the target language websites. You need to provide instructions and train linguists. And then, you know, localize, transcreate target website content, and then internal, external SEO training resources to check target website content. And I realized that I think we're running, oh boy, we may go over a little bit in this webinar. I apologize for that, but we're recording this session. So if you need to bolt, you'll get a link to the recording, and you can always watch the last, you know, maybe 5-10 minutes when you have a chance. I apologize for that. All right, so now we know our keywords. Let's talk about meta tags optimization. All right, in relation to the search term international SEO training, Google will show a snippet. That's the technical term for what you're seeing there. All right, a snippet or meta tag consists of, Google will show the URL, a title tag, a description tag, and then rich snippet content. I'll let Daniel talk about rich snippet content in a little bit here. The title tag, basically stick to about 50 to 65 characters, include your most important keyword. Description tag, about 150 to 160 characters, include one or two of the other 3 keywords that you're targeting this page for. And then Daniel, just briefly talk about the schema, Google Markup.
Yeah, so schema is a little piece of code that you can put on the website or even go through Search Console to make sure it's all working, that it brings this additional item in there. And you can have all kinds of schema, and it really enhances the search result. In this case, you know, it's showing you real lifetime right there, the date and the link for you to click and register for that webinar. So it's really powerful when used correctly.
Absolutely. All right, meta tags, transcreation. So now that we have done all of our English meta tags, we need to transcreate them, right? Create them and transcreate them in the target languages. So for example, you know, the best smartphone, you want to include the transcreated keyword. In Switzerland, we use the term handy for smartphone. Right, then it's going to be tricky to create well-optimized meta tags in other languages, because usually the text expands over the English language. All right, so stick to those character limits there. This is definitely creative writing. It will take a little bit of time to create these transcreated meta tags. But it's one of the most important things that you need to do when it comes to international SEO. All right, so now that we have all the meta tags in English and transcreated for the target languages, let's talk about content creation and on-page optimization. Daniel, what is content marketing? Should we do low quality content or just hammer out blog posts all the time?
Those were the good old days of content farms. No, Google's actually opposite now. So, you know, instead of creating 5, 10 pieces a month just to get a lot out there, what's really important is the quality. So creating one piece with great quality is really what you're looking for.
That's it. That's it. You don't want to sell, you know, don't put a crap that, you know, it's just like screaming, hey, buy my stuff. You know, communicate with your potential customers, educate them, as we do with this webinar. You know, this is content marketing, right? All right, so here's a little checklist that I created. I teach part of a master's degree for the University of Strasbourg in France online. I make my students create a blog post as their final assignment. This little checklist that I created. You're welcome to make a copy of this checklist. Right there is the link to the Google Doc. Just make a copy and, you know, feel free to change this as you see fit. All right, let's talk about translation, localization real quick. So we use professional localization translation services as part of our international SEO campaigns for our clients. But let's say if we would want to target the German market with this guide that we wrote here, small business SEO packages, what's better, cheap or an affordable SEO plan? These are the keywords that this page is ranking for. Let's say if we want to tackle affordable search engine optimization as one of the keywords that we're going to optimize this page for in the German market. All right, quick recap. We're going to head over to DeepL. We're going to find the best translation, right? So günstige Suchmaschinenoptimierung. Then we're going to head over to Google Keyword Planner. As you can see there, this keyword is getting 30 searches in German in Germany. However, Suchmaschinenoptimierung günstig, it's just like the word is reversed, günstig, gets 110 searches per month. So naturally, I would probably go with this keyword. And then you can use tools such as Google Translate or DeepL to translate content. However, you're going to have a professional linguist edit, proofread the content, because it is machine translation. It's not advised to just use machine translation, but it's definitely an option. But please, please, please have it reviewed by a professional linguist, and make sure that the right keywords are implemented in the content. All right, super briefly here, let's briefly talk about off-page SEO. It's anything that happens outside of your website. If you do a search for SEO training Denver, you will most likely see an about.me page, probably toward the lower part of page number 1. That's a website that actually, or a company that Google invested in. It's anybody can create an about.me page. So we created these, specific pages about training, etc. And look at that, we're ranking on page number 1. We're taking away real estate from our competition. I could talk about this forever, but I just want to, encourage you to look into off-page optimization, potentially attend another one of our upcoming classes to learn more about off-page. All right, real briefly, Daniel, I'll let you talk about technical SEO, or let's briefly talk about how should you proceed if you localize your website. The best way for international SEO have unique domain names or country code top level domains. So your website.de for Germany, etc. It's definitely the best for SEO, but also a pretty complex way to manage your international websites. Subfolders, subdomains, fr.your website. There are certain benefits to that. We rarely see this option anymore out there. What we see right now is country and language specific subfolders. So your website.com/de-de, German for Germany. It's definitely an easier way to manage your international websites. They all have pros and cons. I encourage you to take a look at the link at the bottom there. It's information provided by Google. The hreflang tag, just make a mental note. That's something you need to implement if you're going to localize, translate your website. It's a way to communicate to Google, what page, let's say if you're targeting the US, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, you got to make sure you use those hreflang tags to tell Google, hey, send people from the UK to this page, people from the US to this page, etc. And then please don't mix and match languages. You're going to confuse the heck out of Google. Technical and functional SEO. Daniel, I'm going to let you talk very briefly about the importance of technical and functional SEO.
Yeah, so you can run an audit through Google Search Console, Speed Insights, SE Ranking. There's all kinds of tools that will run an audit. And anything that's flagged in error, it means that it is also being flagged in error by Google. And those are just technical issues that need to be fixed. And they can be ranging from meta titles and meta tags, or pages that are loading slow, or 404 redirect. So that is probably one of the biggest low-hanging fruit opportunities when you really are taking SEO seriously. You want to do a tech audit, and you want to make sure that you clean out all of the errors that are being flagged. Yes.
Yeah, it's usually something that we do right at the beginning, right? Let's just get rid of all the crap that we need to deal with. It's easy. We have the resources. We know how to do that. Let's build a solid foundation. Here are some tools that we use. Again, SE Ranking will create a killer report with all the technical issues that you have. It's a paid tool, but then there's free tools such as Search Console, Analytics, PageSpeed Insights, etc. And by the way, you're going to get the link to these slides, so no need to write this stuff down. All right, Daniel, with that being said, hey, why don't you just tell me next, so we don't have to actually, do you want to take screen sharing over?
Yeah, I'll just screen my share real quick. And then we only have, I only have five slides left, and I'm pretty sure that we'll finish on time here. Can you see my screen, Chris?
All yes, right? I can. Thank you.
And these are 5 slides. And for me, this is what I consider one of the most important things in, the digital marketing is conversion rate optimization, right? Because SEO is really, really important, but it is not the only thing. And the reason conversion rate optimization plays such a huge factor. And again, let me preempt by saying conversion rate optimization is really good and really powerful if you have a website that already has some traffic, and the more traffic, the more powerful it is. And if you don't have a lot of traffic, then it's not really something that applies, but it's really important to understand why it is so important, right? Because SEO that I have on the top there, and again, any other search or any other kind of traffic that you're bringing into the website, may it be social or, paid or SEO, it's coming into the website. But what matters with that traffic is really important. For example, bounce rate. How many of these people are going into the site, looking at it and going, nah, this is not a good site for me? How many of these people are engaging with the website, converting with the website? Bounce rate is such an important one, because if Google sees that a website has a bounce rate of 80%, 70%, which a lot of the websites we work with have, 2 things happen. Number one, you're losing 80% of the potential traffic that you can have in the website, because they're looking at your website and they're like, nah, these guys are not a good fit for me, and turning right back around. But most importantly, Google's looking at that 80% bounce rate and saying, wait a second, this is not a good quality website, because 80% of people are turning right back around. So that ends up hurting how you get ranked, because you get penalized by Google, right? So what is CRO? CRO is essentially the ability for us to raise the website conversion by testing different things. Here's an example of why I feel it's so powerful. And I feel almost it's probably the best return on investment on any marketing spend that you can have if your website has traffic. For example, quick example, let's say that your website today has 10,000 visitors a month, right? And you have a bounce rate of 60%, which is really common. That means out of those 10,000, there's 4,000 people that are actually entering the website. And you have a conversion rate of 1%, which again, very common. That means that you're converting 40 leads from those 10,000 visitors. Now, if you wanted to double those leads, right? But you only want to double those leads by increasing the number of visitors to the website, you would have to almost double. You would have to generate 19,000 visitors to the website to be able to generate 75 leads. And as you well know, doubling the traffic of the website is going to require a lot of work, right? And make sure that we get to that 19,000 visitors a month. But if we do a conversion rate optimization campaign and we do some A/B tests and we change some stuff on the homepage, and now you still have the 10,000 visitors, but we were able to decrease the bounce rate from 60% to 50%, which is very doable. Now you have 5,000 people entering the website instead of 4. And if we're able to increase the conversion rate of the site from 1 to 1.5, which again, very doable, it's a small increase. Now we're converting 75 leads. So by simply doing some conversion rate optimization, some A/B tests on the homepage and a couple other pages, decreasing the bounce rate by 10, increasing the conversion rate by 0.5, same amount of traffic, you're generating 75 leads. The cost of doing those A/B tests was a lot lower. The time that you're going to be able to accomplish that is a lot lower. And obviously, you can see this is a really low-hanging fruit opportunity. But what really happens now is when you combine this new bounce rate and new conversion rate with more traffic on the website, which is going to get done by improving your SEO, then you're going to be getting a lot better results in terms of bottom of the funnel when you're actively implementing a conversion rate optimization campaign. That's why it's such an important aspect. How do you run a conversion rate optimization? Well, we do what we call A/B tests, right? So let's say that option A on the top is your current website, and you're like, nah, this is, our engagement rate is really low there at 17%. And we say it's probably low because of X, Y, and Z. And we create an option B, which is what you see below, that says, okay, let's test this new version of the website. And you run it through a A/B test software. And then what the software is going to do is send half of the visitors to one page, half of the visitors to the other page. And you can then compare side by side which option is working better. And then that is the option that becomes the winner and becomes the page that gets uploaded. By doing these A/B tests time over time, you continually increase, engagement, decrease the bounce rate. For example, this is one that we see all the time, and I'm using our old website as an example, right? And this is something that all of you can do when you look at your website. Do you have a strong call to action on your homepage above the fold, right? I can guarantee you that if you don't, the bounce rate of your site today is higher than it should. So anytime that we see a homepage that doesn't have a call to action, the first A/B test that we're going to do is put a call to action on there, because it's been tested over and over that users need something to click on when they get to the website. If you make them think too hard or read too hard, they're probably going to turn the back button and go find something else. So this is an example that we would run A and B. And then after a week or 2 or 3, depending on how much traffic, we would see that, yes, there's a 7% decrease. And again, this is just a sample, but this is the kind of things that we would be doing, not only on the homepage, but on the product page, on the conversion page. We figure out what parts of the website, by looking at Google Analytics, can benefit from, a conversion rate optimization. Then we use a conversion rate optimization software like Optimizely, and Google has a good conversion rate optimization tool now to run these A/B tests. And really what that does is it increases the usability and the user experience of the website, which increases conversions, which increases how the website how Google sees your website, and saying, yes, this is a website that users really have a great user experience on. So we want to rank that higher, because that's what Google's all about. It's about ranking on the top of search engines, websites that are qualified, that are experts, and that provide users an awesome experience. So that sums up our conversion rate optimization portion of the presentation. Chris, over to you.
Right on. 1 minute over. That was it. Hopefully it was not too overwhelming. It was a lot of information, but we find that these hour-long webinars, they resonate well with our audience. With that being said, if you guys still want to stay online, we're happy to answer any questions you may have. I think most everybody is still with us. So yeah, open floor. Actually, Daniel, should we turn on our cameras? I'll take it over.
Sure.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Any questions that we can answer? Let me go back here. I'm going to go slideshow. There we go. All right. All right. I think we probably answered everything there was to answer. No questions right now. With that being said, you're always welcome to email us or get in touch with us, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatnot. If you have any questions, let me see. There we go. You're welcome, man. Let me see. Where can translators find the best keywords when they work for translation agencies? Vitor. Yeah, you're gonna have use tools. You're gonna have to use tools such as SE ranking, Google Keyword Planner. Basically, the process that I went through earlier in this presentation. Those tools also work for the source language keyword research process. Yeah, I hope this answers your question. Again, we are recording this session and everybody will get a link to the recording, including the slides. So I know this was a very, loaded presentation, a lot of information, very fast paced. So, view it again if you'd like. Thank you so much, Maylene. All right. So again, you're welcome to reach out. We're open for business. We're nice people, I think. We like to tackle interesting projects. If you need help with this stuff, just reach out. We'll have a quick chat. We'll see if we're a good fit for each other. That being said, Daniel, any last words of wisdom? Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I'm post-COVID, so I still have a little cough, so I have to keep muting myself when I cough. But yeah, no, I think that was a good presentation. There's a lot of information out there, and don't hesitate to just reach out to ask questions. If you're doing things on your own, you know, we're here to help as well, point you in the right direction, give you advice. So you have both of our emails. Feel free to reach out.
Cool. All right. That being said, thanks again. Thanks so much for the positive feedback that is coming through in the chat here. Thanks for spending an hour with us here this morning. I'm going to stop the recording and, you know, thank you again. Join us again next time. Thank you.